For me, I think it's a couple different verses. 1 Peter 3:15, always be ready to give an account of the living hope that's inside of you. And also in Romans, how are they going to hear unless someone tells them? And I'm a product of the ministry. When Wayne was the director in the mid-'70s as a high school student, I mean, it impacted me. And so to be involved for almost 40 years over the years and seeing the fruit in our community, it's pretty exciting to see church leaders, pastors in our community continue on and serving faithfully, and they kind of got introduced to Jesus as part of Youth for Christ.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say even still today, one of the beautiful things about Youth for Christ is that the mission has always remained the same, and the teens today have less and less biblical influence in their lives, in their community, at home. And so the fact that Youth for Christ continues to go and bring the gospel, the good news of Jesus Christ, to young people that have never heard it before, and we get to see God change lives every day. It's beautiful.
I think the emphasis was on the rallies and reaching out to the community. I think a lot of effort was put into those programs, and I think the campus life programs, it grew, and I mean, there were individuals who were involved, teachers, principals, and so on, that were pro campus life. And I think the Lifeline program, I think just that reaching out to troubled kids, and that I think was the highlight of that time for me.
And music has always been kind of a big part of it in Chuck and Wayne's eras, and I was a byproduct of that. And I think that probably 750 different people in our community were involved on a Youth for Christ music team over the years. And a lot of them are involved in leading worship in churches still yet today. And then as you morphed into the late 70s and 80s, we saw the advent of materials like Campus Life magazine and the Life Application Bible. I think there's probably been 4,000 different kids go on trips, to Florida, to Colorado, and more doing overseas missions. And so the first introduction, I think, of some of that with kids. I know when I was in college, we started overnighters and, 0 hour, as far as having 1,000, 1,500 kids, middle schoolers overnight. I'm glad you get to do that now, and I don't have to anymore.
I think back to when I first joined, Chuck had moved the Bible clubs into campus life clubs. So expanded from Christian kids to the non-church kids, where they had an environment a little bit different that encouraged them to come and join the activity.
Well, I think it's morphed a lot. I think the motto started right from the very beginning in the mid-'40s, and but our mission has always been more centered around communicating the life-changing message of Jesus Christ to every young person. And you think how you can reach every person, but at the heart of Youth for Christ has always been that one-on-one evangelism, or teen to teen. And so how has teen culture changed? Our churches aren't as involved in evangelism anymore, and so relationships are still really important with staff and kids, but trying to help young people learn to be campus evangelists, to learn to reach their friends for Christ. That was a big emphasis I know that you guys helped pour into me. I think that back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, there was more church kids were involved. And now I think if you look at the Luke 15, the lost, Youth for Christ really is trying to reach kids who have never come into the doors of a church. And so I see it kind of changing a lot that way.
Yeah. Well, I think I speak for all of us when I say that we're humbled to be a small part of what God has done in the ministry of Kalamazoo Youth for Christ, and we want to make sure to give him all of the glory and all of the praise for the thousands of lives that have been touched, and we want to thank you for joining us as we reminisced a little bit today. Thanks, you guys.